when you look at professional tennis, for example, it's no coincidence that the last 4 world number ones, essentially, have all been essentially exactly 6'2". Tennis has been around for so long that the sport has essentially whittled down to a fine dimension that is, essentially perfect for tennis. And it's around about that 6'2" mark. I don't think pickleball needs to be 6'2". I think 6 foot is around about the sweet spot.
Hello, welcome back to the Future of Pickleball on Selkirk TV. Today we have a very, very fun guest today. Morgan Evans is joining us. Morgan has been deeply involved in the sport of pickleball as a coach, as a pro player, as a broadcaster. We're going to be talking to him today about what his thoughts and ideas are of what's in the future. We've been in the sport of pickleball enough, all of us enough to know that the sport is on fire. It's going nuts. How will it get there? Who's going to take it there? And who'll be the leaders? Morgan, welcome to the group.
Thank you, Paul. Pleasure to be here, mate.
Cool. One of the things that I've looked forward to in terms of talking to you is where you've got this unique background of having been a player first and a coach and now broadcasting extensively. What's your vision of what you've sort of seen in the past, let's say, 2 years that you've been involved with the explosion of pickleball?
Well, I think, we've seen the pandemic have a huge impact in the participation, the growth rate upwards of 40% per annum. Before that, 8-9%, which is amazing. If you ask any CEO, they'd love to see those numbers. 39-40% as of the pandemic is just through the roof. And I've seen that trickle up, I guess, to the professional game. How many more players have just been introduced and realized that their backgrounds kind of suit the game of pickleball, and an even greater surge of not just high-level tennis players, but athletes of in all walks of life that have decided to give pickleball a chance. Many of whom have deep pockets and have decided to throw their hat in the ring in one facet or another. And look, it's an exciting time to be alive. Let's be honest.
Sure. Now, one of the things that I was kind of interested with talking with you about, where you've gotten so deeply involved in the broadcast and analysis side of things, are you finding that it's where you want it to be? Are you the quality of production, the kinds of approaches that are being done? Is there more coming? Any ideas on what the near term or intermediate term might be?
Yeah, I mean, sky's the limit. Production values have risen, as has the game itself. Big players coming in like Tennis Channel, taking over broadcast responsibilities. It lends itself to an air of professionalism that borders on what we're used to seeing for professional tennis.
Certainly.
And I think with every major tournament that goes on, and they tick the boxes, dot the I's, cross the T's, and do all the little things that a viewer kind of picks up on. Whether they know when they're watching it or not can be a subconscious kind of thing. But we always know when something looks professional, looks right. And unfortunately, we also know when it doesn't. So, and I think every tournament that comes past that, they're learning a little bit more about what it makes to give a quality broadcast. We're also learning what it is that needs to be separating pickleball from the crowd. So often we kind of look at tennis as this blueprint, and we don't really want to talk over the points. They don't talk over the points in tennis. But pickleball is very different. It is very social. So where's the line? Where's the limit in terms of making it more fun, more social, more enjoyable as a viewer? And I try my best to kind of introduce some kind of entertainment into the broadcast, as well as teaching the game to people who are perhaps new to it and need to understand some of the basic stuff to do with rules, participation, and the growth of the game. So
Well, those are the kind of things that actually I think you've done a masterful job of your, I won't say glib, your interesting humor, but really we are a social game, and it is about the viewers who aren't yet pickleball players need to realize that this is such a huge module of our game and I think you bring that very well in the terms of some fun, obvious knowledge, but you're bringing some swagger to the booth, so that's very cool.
I try.
So now, in terms of the pro game, as this is being broadcast, we're just a couple of weeks over the fact of some massive announcements of major international sports celebrities buying in, and other celebrities as recently as the week before this was broadcast or was recorded, Anheuser-Busch has chosen to come into the game. What's your take on where this is going to go as these mega millionaires and billionaires are stepping into the game?
Yeah, for sure. And first and foremost, Mr. CEO of Anheuser-Busch, or Mrs. CEO, I should have done my research here, but if you need a coach for your team, I will work for beer, okay? Maybe not Bud Light, but one of the other ones. Shameless plug, but I would love to.
Shameless plugs are good. That's what we're here for.
Is there any other kind of plug?
Yes.
Yes, no, I mean, God, with LeBron James, Mark Cuban now, Anheuser-Busch, every week there's a giant player.
Well, and on the PPA Mark Cuban side, there's 5 more to come here in the not too distant. So it's going to kind of be the hit parade of week in and week out.
It is the tip of the iceberg.
Now, being as close to the pro game, the pro players, the organization of the sport, what do you think is going to happen with the idea of team play as opposed to individual play that we've been doing? How do you see these celebrity big money pros? What's the buzz about what we're, as the public, are going to begin to see and how this will manifest itself?
Yeah, no, good question. Look, I think in the short term, the team owners are going to basically look at what's the most popular kind of format. And I think people are loving these team format events because it puts players that aren't typically playing together suddenly alongside each other. Sure. And we get to see sometimes individual brilliance. Other times, a team of perhaps 2 people on paper that can't quite compete, but really come together and gel well, and you see that amazing teamwork being able to pay dividends. And having 2 players and coaches rally around from the sidelines watching, I think that it really adds something to the sport, and it gives a real kind of an emotional value to the viewer as well.
One of the things on that order that I've been around the game a pretty long time, seeing it come and seeing the pro game develop, I've heard you speak about what your vision of what you think the quintessential player of the future will be in terms of body style or body type and shape. With so many new players coming in, kind of guide people as to what you think sort of if you were bringing and nurturing and mentoring a young super pro or future pro, what would you be trying to look for as a coach guide?
Ape index. I've said it before, I'll say it again. No, it's massive. Height, length relative to height. If you happen to be as nimble as a 6'1" player thereabouts, but as long as a 6'4", 6'5" in terms of reach, that's massive.
Okay.
When you look at someone, and I've talked about Tyler Leung way too many times in this, he's a great example.
Well, except that we haven't talked about Tyler Leung on here, so don't be afraid to elaborate a little bit if you...
Fair enough. So he's 72 inches tall, he's 76 inches long. And that gives him the best of both worlds. When you look at professional tennis, for example, it's no coincidence that the last 4 world number ones, essentially, have all been essentially exactly 6'2". Shocking, right? There's a lot of amazing 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" tennis players. They're out there, and they do very well. A lot of them stick in the top 10, but unfortunately, that size doesn't lend itself for A, agility, and B, longevity. in terms of cardiovascular throughout the course of a tournament, but also longevity over a career.
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
So tennis has been around for so long that the sport has essentially whittled down to a fine dimension that is, essentially perfect for tennis. And it's around about that 6'2" mark. I don't think pickleball needs to be 6'2". I think 6 foot is around about the sweet spot. Young, I think we're going to see so many 15 to 18-year-olds that just blow the 30 to 40 range out of the water, because they can be physically very, very tall, very long, but they're also not overloaded with too much muscle mass, too much body fat, the kinds of things that happen as you get bigger and bigger. So that part of it. We look at someone like Riley Newman, James Ignatowicz. James is the next big thing. That body type is amazing. And James is around 6'2", 6'3". Riley the same, very lean, very fast, great length. So I think that's going to be something we see.
And now when you're seeing, and of course you get a first look at an awful lot of the new young talent coming into the sport, what is the cycle that you think has to happen where they go from coming in as a singles player to maturing and morphing into a high-grade, top 10 level doubles player?
Yeah, so I think singles is a great place to start. And if you're young enough and your body can handle it, do it for a couple of years at least, because it will teach you the footwork required to excel in the other dimensions, in the other disciplines of pickleball. Mixed doubles is the next best thing to men's singles. And what you see, James is a great example. He excels in men's singles, and almost immediately felt very, very comfortable in the mixed doubles court because of the kind of room you've got to work with. In men's doubles, and especially if you've got two alpha males battling with each other, locking horns, it's an issue. Ben and Colin work very well because there's a clear alpha and beta role. It's not so easy to have that in most men's doubles teams together. So I think the chances of two very tall gentlemen doing well together is incredibly difficult. I think there's like a sweet spot in terms of if you're a guy and you're 6'3", great, but you need to be with someone around 5'7", 5'8", so that you're not getting in each other's way. And that alpha male, the taller, bigger guy, takes the left side and covers at least 70% of the court.
Sure.
That middle ball always for that person's forehand, for right-handed players, obviously. So I think that's a big part of it. And I think we're going to see more and more teams deciding to have a very clear-cut distinction, non-stop stacking, alpha on the left, beta on the right. And I think that right side player, it's going to behoove them to learn a serious two-handed backhand, because there's an argument in the women's game that the alpha player can be the right side player because of how dominant the two-handed backhand has become and how good it is at clamping the middle and handling those middle attacks. There's so much pace. I mean, if you've never been on the other end of Jessie Irvin's two-handed backhand when she slides into position and just drives a ball into oblivion, it changes your life.
Yeah. Good. So now in the world of Morgan Evans, anything new or different coming up in your involvement, activities, anything on the future that's gonna change that we'll see differently coming forward?
Yeah. So I've started working with James. As a coach.
I didn't know that.
I'll be working with him here and Newport, and going forth, we'll see how it goes. I think he's a fantastic young kid and young adult. Very intriguing prospect for the game. His attitude is spot on. Physically, he is incredibly gifted, and I think he's got a really good chance to go all the way. So I'm excited about working with him. I love the broadcasting, so I'm going to, do as much or as little as I'm sort of required of that. Mm-hmm. It's a great way to keep my beak wet in the kind of bringing the game to the masses arena, so to speak. I still love teaching pickleball. I tend to do private lessons, not as often as I used to, but 4-0, 4-5, and professional players that are coming
and you're still a director of pickleball at one of the facilities here, aren't you?
Yeah, Palm Desert Resort Country Club. We've got 28 beautiful courts, a couple of miles from this venue. It's a haven for all the up and coming players around the desert. So it's a great place to work.
So you've got your hands full. You're keeping yourself busy.
Yeah, no. I'm unfortunately, I get so restless if I'm only doing one or two different things. I need to be doing 12 different things, and part of that is, content for Selkirk. Working on some nice, some fun sketches coming up. So.
And then what about the Morgan Evans playing future?
Yeah, it's a good question. Look, I never really hitched my wagon to that star. I mean, I loved playing, but when I realized the game had sort of passed me by, the chances of a 40-year-old, 5'9" with the wind, gentleman being able to compete at the top level, I think those days are gone, and it's difficult for me to sign up for a tournament not believing I have a chance to win, and I don't really want to play 5-0.
Understand? No, you played at the highest levels of the game. It's partnered with some of the best players that have ever played the game.
Yeah,
it's very fun.
I want to do it. I don't know. I'm sad thinking about not doing it. It's just, well, I'm still injured. I got a couple of tears here, so I would get lobbed into oblivion. I can't hit an overhead. Yeah. But they're going to take my serve away. They're taking my baby.
I was talking to someone who has played with you at PDR, talking about the fact that with the power air paddle and your spin serve, it's insane.
Yeah. No, it's been great. It's been so much fun to use it with the new breed of Selkirk paddle. It felt like cheating. But what I found, though, after doing it and sort of perfecting, so to speak, different versions of the kick serve, using that pre-spin, as the rest of my game got worse. I could often, against the kind of riff-raff. Sorry, folks, don't blame me. This Greg Carter, don't hurt me for this. The kind of players that fine, upstanding individuals, quality players that I typically play with at Palm Desert Resort. I could often get 6 or 7 free points. Yeah. So my third shot was gone. It was just out the window, and I couldn't dink to save my life. So I had to stop doing it to get the rest of my game back. I miss it, but at the same time, it wasn't helping me with the rest of the game. So. Yeah.
So now we've had a nice opportunity to talk about a whole bunch of things that you've been doing in your perspectives. Is there anything that you see or feel or hear about that I try to have this show where our viewers can actually look and go, is there something that's going on in the big picture of pickleball that they could do locally in their area? How would you encourage people who are watching this who just love their pickleball locally? Pro events occasionally will come through. Any thoughts or ideas of getting involved with refereeing or anything like that might you think might be a contributor to the sport?
Look, I think local players and advocates have a real chance to start lobbying high schools, colleges, universities to encourage so much more participation at that age group and programs that it won't be long before the NCAA really take note and say, all right, let's do it. Let's go in. We've got it for this, and this sport. Why not pickleball? Because I think that's the best chance we have to quickly inspire a movement towards the Olympics. And I tell you, if you'd asked me 5 years ago how close it is to being an Olympic sport, I probably would have said at least 20, thereabouts. These days, I think perhaps not this next one, but I think the following Olympics, it'll be there.
So that'll be Los Angeles 2028.
Yeah, and not as a exhibition event, as the real deal. I mean, it's it's wildfire, and in the best possible way.
Sure.
So, I get on a daily basis, I get either messages or emails from people from, around the world asking me various questions about, sometimes it's paddle, sometimes it's technique, sometimes it's just getting more people involved, or the best kind of tape. For some reason, a lot of people ask me what tape to mark courts with, and temporary nets, just the basic stuff to inspire a grassroots, because we all know that once 4 people play pickleball, they're going to tell 9 friends like that.
Yep.
And it's going to happen, and it's going to happen
Yeah.
because they are happy customers. And it doesn't take long for that one seed to start inspiring an entire country, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I know, and those of us that have been around this game for a fairly long time now, and everything started at that grassroots in every program in every part of the country. I'm excited to hear the things that I am about what's going on internationally and new opportunities that are coming for the sport. But I think we've got a cool bunch of years coming in front of us.
Oh, yeah.
Morgan, I'd like to thank you so much for having joined us today. I'll tell you what, folks, if you're ever coming to the Palm Springs, Palm Desert area, look up Morgan, get your lessons. This guy's the real beast.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Now, I can't do a lesson for everybody. I might do some clinics, some camps, sign up for those. But we've got some fantastic coaches at Palm Desert Resort. And if you're sort of 4'5", 5'0" and above, I'm probably your guy. But I can't take you all. I love you. You're great. But I'm not for everybody.
I'm not going to do his marketing for him anymore after this, so I tried. Well, thank you, Morgan. It's been a great pleasure. I've sure enjoyed having
Paul.
you on the show. Thank
Pleasure.
you very much.
Cheers, man.